The animals, trap, trap, trap till the cages fall. The cages fall, the day is new, and everyone is waiting, waiting on you, and you've got time. Think of all the
Hello and welcome to the second of our pilot series of podcasts entitled Couch Potatoes Unite! ! This is a podcast based on a blog of the same name because everything changes. Shout out to all the listeners who are David Bowie fans. I'm the blogger in question and the moderator of this podcast. My name is Kylie and I love TV. If you feel the same, keep listening and or checking out the blog at couchpotatoesunite.wordpress.com, as you're bound to find some common ground or something you like. At Couch Potatoes Unite, we're all about the wonders and the unique long-form storytelling of the small screen. Today we're around the water cooler and discussing Season 2 of Orange is the New Black, which was released in its entirety to the Netflix streaming library on June 6, 2014. In fact, the show is legally available to Netflix subscribers exclusively, as it is Netflix-produced original content. For those who don't know, Orange is the New Black is a comedy drama about a Manhattan woman whose past catches up to her and for which she must serve time in federal prison. The show is set in New York, though flashbacks for each of the prisoners who comprise the cast of characters sometimes venture away from New York. Taylor Schilling plays Piper Chapman, a seemingly run-of-the-mill woman of waspish origin and maker of homemade soaps. After becoming engaged to be married to her unemployed but wholly supportive writer-boyfriend Larry Bloom, who is played by Jason Biggs, best known for his roles in the American Pie movies, Piper learns that she must serve a short sentence in federal prison. She's been implicated in the bust of an international drug cartel of which her former girlfriend, Alex Voss, who was played by Laura Prepon of That 70s Show fame, was a member and who Piper aided and abetted in the throes of young love. Piper's wild and adventurous past, including her ambiguous but most likely bisexual orientation, becomes a secret revealed not only to Larry and his family, but to her strictly suburban family as well. What's more, at least in the first season, Piper finds that she is wholly unequipped for prison. Though some, like unabashed, self-proclaimed lesbian junkie Nikki Nichols, played by Natasha Lyon, are kind and helpful to her, others, like Kitchenhead Red in the first season, played by Captain Janeway herself, Kate Mulgrew, show her no mercy. In addition, the guards, mostly men, are mostly drunk on their own power. The prison counselors play favorites and are easily offended, and the prison population is divided by race, unofficially but automatically, which offends Piper's liberal sensibilities. If all that weren't complicated enough, Alex is sent to the same prison, and Piper's emotions are deeply conflicted, as she reasons that only Alex could have pointed the finger to get her in trouble in the first place. At the same time, the old attractions between the two women remain undeniably present. I started watching the show because I saw the teaser trailers for the series while watching other programming on Netflix and also on network TV. I was originally drawn in by the fact that Captain Janeway from Star Trek Voyager and Donna from That 70s Show were on the program. In my review of the first season, which you can read at couchpotatoesunite.wordpress.com, I rated the show 4 out of 5 stars, mainly because it's not the type of show to which I normally gravitate. There are graphic situations, and the main character is potentially annoying in some circumstances. Also, true confession, I'm not an overall fan of Jason Biggs, but the show is so well written, I still liked it very much and was excited to watch Season 2, which in my opinion might have been even more compelling than the first season. Let's see if today's panel agrees, as we'll be discussing the finer and not quite so fine points of Season 2. It should be noted that all of our panelists have viewed the entire season and may discuss sensitive plot points, so for those of you who haven't watched any of Orange is the New Black, listen at your own risk, as there may be major spoilers. At this time, I'd like the panel to introduce themselves. If you could, please tell us your first name and how you came to start watching Orange is the New Black, and what kept you watching. And how would you rate your interest in the show? Are you addicted, like Nikki, obsessed, like Piper? Are you watching it out of a screwed-up sense of loyalty, like Tasty, or a genuine sense of loyalty, like Poussey? Are you watching it to check it off some checklist, like Big Boo? Are you watching it because your friends watch it, like Black Cindy or Janae or Gina, Norma or Morello, or any of the Latina girls? Are you watching it for business reasons, like Red, or as a guilty pleasure, like Bennett or Daya? Are you watching it as part of a protest of deplorable prison conditions, like Sister or So-So? Are you disinterested but wanting to take part in something, so you join this podcast, thank you very much, like Healy or Gloria? Are you disinterested but looking to cause trouble, like Porn Stash? Are you just disinterested, period, but what the hell, like Rosa? Or are you just crazy, like Suzanne, a.k.a. Crazy Eyes?
I guess I'll go first. I'm Krista, and I started watching it. I suppose this answers the question also, as kind of to check it off my list, because I'd heard it was so good.
So you're Big Boo, is that what you're saying?
But now, to a certain extent, after I watched the first season, I was compelled enough to continue on. Full disclosure, I've also read the book.
Okay,
so
great. We have a book reader in the panel. That's good. That's a very good thing. So which one are you, though, Krista?
I don't know.
Somewhere between
Pusey and Big Boo, I guess.
All right, that's fair.
Odd place to be.
It is an odd place to be. They'd probably agree.
I'm Kristen. I had been a Netflix subscriber for a couple of years, and I, like Kylie, I saw the promos, and I was very intrigued by the premise. I'm not a prison show type of girl, so this was something really new for me. And so as soon as I saw the first episode, I was hooked, and I think I binge-watched it in 2 days. So, came for the premise, stayed for the craziness that happens at Litchfield.
So what does that make you?
I'm obsessed like Piper. I'm just going to say that, because even season 2, I binge-watched it in about 2 days.
Okay.
So, I can't get enough.
I'm Nick. I just started watching it partially because of the hype, just to see what it was about. It did not hurt that Kate Mulgrew was in it.
Also a Trekkie.
Very much so. I guess I would say I'm obsessed like Piper just because I couldn't stop watching it. Like, oh, it's 2 a.m., I can watch another one. It's not 3 yet, I could watch another one. I couldn't stop. It's oddly like most of the times when I'm obsessed like that, I can't wait for the next season, but when it comes out, I'll watch it. I might not even watch it immediately, but I do want to see the third season because it is just a very good show to watch.
I agree. I actually feel I'm somewhere in the genuine sense of loyalty to obsessed range. I don't want to say I'm obsessed like Piper because, let's face it, Piper gets obsessed about a lot of things. But I have the same experience. It was one of those things where prison shows are not really my bag, but once I sat down to watch it, I kept wanting to watch it and kept wanting to watch it. And I don't think I did it in 2 days, but it was definitely less than a week. Definitely less than a week. So, let's talk about the $1 million question. What do you think of Season 2 compared to Season 1? What did you like? What didn't you like?
Oddly enough, I didn't like the character V.
Okay.
But I think I didn't like her because of the reasons they wrote her. She was there to be almost like the villain. And maybe in some aspects she was too much of like a villain as opposed to just being in prison. But I think I liked Season 2 more, but I was just so annoyed with that character and what she was doing, which I think is just good writing, that she got under my skin enough. But yes, I like Season 2 even more than Season 1.
Yeah, I agree. I preferred Season 2 over Season 1 like crazy. I felt like Season 1 they were setting up a lot of dominoes, and Season 2 really started to knock them down. But also for me, I got to see the backstory, one of my favorite characters of Miss Rosa, and I love that she's a bank robbing badass. So that I really enjoyed it for that reason. And I think too that they've set up some really good plot points for Season 3, like, Piper outing Alex to her probation officer through Polly was huge.
Spoilers.
And yeah, the fact that Alex is coming back to Litchfield, supposedly, I think is going to cause a lot of tension, and it's going to be a catalyst to propel things forward even more.
That's confirmed. Laura Prepon is now going to be back as a regular in season 3.
I definitely like season 2 better. I was a little touch and go at the beginning of season 1. Like, I think I had to watch the first couple episodes more than one time. I didn't really like the Polly Larry subplot. I thought that was a little forced, but overall I really like season 2.
So let's talk about a couple of these things. I'm going to backtrack around. Let's talk about Larry and Polly. Now, we know they announced this week that Jason Biggs will not be in season 3. So whatever happened to Larry and Polly seems to be at least for now, temporarily ended. But let's talk about that. I mean, this is essentially her former fiance, Piper's former fiance. Now, granted, everything got complicated when the fact of Alex became a reality. But the fact that he found his comfort in the arms of her best friend, like, how do we feel about that?
I don't care that he's not coming back, because I don't need that storyline. Like, if it's just in the prison. And Piper's my least favorite character, so I don't even care, like, how this is affecting her. If she wasn't in it, I would watch it and probably like it more, I think. I just don't need Piper in it. Which is weird, because it's based on her life. But they've already diverged enough from what actually happened that you don't need her. The other characters can carry it. Any time a different character is in focus and you don't see another one, it doesn't bother me, because it's good dynamic writing and I'm invested in what story they're telling at that moment. So I don't mind if any of them aren't there, except Big Red. She's my favorite.
Yeah, I'm not really disappointed he's not coming back. I really wasn't surprised with that plot point development. It seemed like Larry and Piper were never really suited for each other. It seems like she was trying to be his ideal, but there was no way she really could be. And so Polly is giving Larry the opportunity for the life that he's always wanted. So I get it, and it's fine. And I agree with Nick. I don't need that external prison storyline when it's so focused on the characters who are at Litchfield. And I think it's much more of an ensemble piece versus Piper only and everybody else's accessory.
Well, one of my favorite characters from season 1 is Miss Claudette and her storyline. Yeah. And the fact that she's not in season 2 and I like season 2 better just, I guess, reaffirms that it almost doesn't matter which characters are there as long as it's the same creative team.
And like you said, I mean, Piper's eventually going to get out of prison. And is the show going to end? Probably not. So she might actually be gone at some point.
That's true. The real Piper only spent a year in federal prison, isn't that true?
I think it was 11 months.
Okay, so not even quite
What's
a year.
her sentence on the show? Was it... I feel like it was it less than a year?
It was something around there.
Yeah, I don't even remember them totally coming out and specifying.
They say in the first one, because I cringed, because I was like, is this just going to be a never-ending, something else happened that keeps extending their stay, which it hasn't, and they've done a very good job of being prison is long and tedious, so if one episode is one day, maybe two, that I think works well. But I think my 90s sitcom brain is like, a week has gone by every time another episode comes. So I thought they were going to just run out of time and have to force, she got in a bad fight and is being punished, so now she has to... But no, they are working with time well, where I don't think they'll have to extend her sentence.
Yeah, I get the sense that it's a day-to-day thing, and there's only 13 episodes per season, so you're talking about 2 weeks, a 2-week glimpse. Or maybe more or less.
Because they have celebrated like one holiday.
There was Thanksgiving and
Valentine's Day, so we know that it's spanned that far.
They've halfway through the first season, they say how long she's been in there, and I remember thinking, there's plenty of time left, and I don't think that's a ridiculous amount of time that has passed. And they do enough of backstories with the characters where you're not even getting 45 minutes of her stay in prison because you're doing flashbacks.
That's true.
And I like the way the flashbacks have been structured so far. It's not every episode, and it's not even necessarily why they're all in prison, but kind of explain, especially like with Crazy Eyes. I really enjoyed her backstory.
Oh, that was heartbreaking.
Yes.
Well,
the Crazy
enjoyed
Eyes.
isn't necessarily the right word, but...
What are some other backstories that you really enjoyed from either season, but particularly from season 2?
I Miss Rosa, hands down. I really liked hers. It was a twist that, I mean, I knew she was in for something, but I didn't know what it was. And the fact that she was also kind of an unintended Black Widow was kind of cool with her curse. But also Morello, I really enjoyed hers.
Oh, talk about heartbreaking.
Heartbreaking. And because you always kind of wondered, why didn't we see Christopher in season 1? Why did he never come to visit her if they're getting married and all this? And to find out that her relationship with him was more obsessive stalker than actually real relationship puts a whole new light on her character.
It was actually I was shocked actually by it. That's such a testament to the writing, because it didn't even cross my mind that she might be, first of all, running credit fraud, and second of all, stalking this poor man from one chance meeting in a post office.
They wrote it well enough where you were wondering, oh, is she lying? Like, is it already broken off or not? Right. And not so that it was, oh, they didn't have a relationship at all.
At all.
No.
It worked well with it.
I enjoyed their meet cute.
The meet cute in the post office?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And you just feel so bad for her when this guy is like yelling at her at prison and like treating her like crap, but when you think about, oh, he's technically the victim here.
He is.
Like,
Well,
she broke into his
house. But you still
away.
feel I sided with her. I still felt horrible for her.
Even though she definitely was the one in the wrong.
Yes. Yeah.
What about you, Nick? Any particular...
The Morello one, and I miss Rosa as well, and she resolves the storyline perfectly. I was very happy how season 2 ended. And that we're done with V.
Thank goodness!
She was so rude.
She served her purpose in the
did.
season, and we're done with it.
Yep.
Let me get back to V in a second. I know for me, another of the backstories that was also kind of tragic and sad was Poussey or P's backstory.
Yeah.
Not great.
Finding out that, she's kind of been struggling with her sexuality, and also the fact that she's this military child who's been moved around and is seeking love, and you sort of see the dynamic between her and Tasty in a much different light. And Tasty's so sensitive to it and nice about it that it really shows a lot of dimension there. But Morello and Rosa also, I think that's the popular feeling here. Especially Morello. I think I cried a little even, but yeah, she did break away and break into his house, which was really, really sad.
Sat in the tub with the veil.
Yeah, that was a little creepy if you think about it.
Yeah.
That was a little Fatal Attraction. I was expecting a dead rabbit next, I'm not gonna lie. Well,
I think they did a good job with waiting for that till season 2, because you had so much of... Piper is our window in season 1. We're going through it with her. And she is just like one of the first people she meets, and is so nice and kind to her that it's very easy to side with her and empathize, even though she's doing this crazy, crazy thing.
right. So, yes, Yvonne V. Parker was our villain this year. And we find out a lot about her. She was written to be bad, for sure, I think. But did we find her sympathetic at any time? Because if you think about it, she is basically Tasty's foster mother, even though she got her into the whole drug trade situation. So,
Yes.
This show has done a good job with presenting characters that, okay, I don't like this person. It's easy to put them in a box. I don't like this person. They're the bad guy. And then an episode or 2 later, you feel sorry for them and you do empathize. I don't think I ever did with V. I think that might be the only character, the only other one, even at the moment where I think you were supposed to. Who's Healy's boss? What's her name?
Fig.
yeah, Figueroa.
Yeah, even when she's like breaking down and her husband's gay, I still think you are doing a horrible thing to these people.
You are a terrible,
I
terrible
can't.
assistant warden.
Never felt bad for her.
No,
for a
I didn't.
second.
That's true.
Her and V are the two that I never, ever did.
Yeah, I agree. I never empathized, sympathized, anything remotely emotional towards V other than I can't wait till you leave. I felt, again, the writing was great because it did exactly what they intended to do, which is make me hate her with a fiery passion. Because I'm a big Red fan as well, and their dynamic chemistry was awesome. Their fight was great, and I'm happy that Miss Rosa took her out at the very end.
Spoilers!
In a blaze of glory. So
just kept driving.
But to throw a wrench in that, if it weren't for V, would Crazy Eyes have made her little evolution? Because, granted, she did it in a very manipulative way and for her own purposes, but she kind of got Crazy Eyes to basically have some self-worth and see herself as a strong person, not basically a crazy person, which she's been told her entire life, not to mention just in the prison.
Oh, that's a tough one.
There was some redeeming qualities in that. It was in that last episode. She said, "Crazy Eyes said, I'm not crazy. I'm unique." I believe, and I thought that was a very nice moment. And she's a phenomenal actress.
She is. She won the Emmy, I believe.
I couldn't take my eyes off her in any scene that she's in. She's just so engaging, but it was so manipulative. It wasn't in any way to actually help her. It was so I don't think that really redeems.
Well, and she at went too far with it.
She did throw her under the bus.
Yeah,
not literally, but
yeah. So yes, good came out of it for that character, but it's not enough.
So how would we compare V to last year's villains were Pornstache, who made a brief comeback this season, and Pensatucky. Let's talk about Pensatucky. How far the mighty have fallen there. Last season, she was this sort of media whore kind of poster child for the whatever stereotype you want to ascribe to her. And this year, it was after basically Piper beat the crap out of her. Well, yeah, Piper beat the crap out of her at the end of season 1. Now she comes back, gets her teeth fixed. The laundry girls, who have now finally come out from under her shadow, are like, want nothing to do with her. And she has this sort of sad sack storyline on the side with Healy. And then eventually we're getting her talking about the gay agenda with Sophia and Big Boo. What do we think about that?
I don't know.
Yeah, she's a hard one to try to figure out, because again, her change from 1 to 2 is so drastic, and I don't know. I just think it's really confusing. I almost feel like Pensatucky maybe wants to try that lifestyle, or see what it's like with Big Boo, for example, but with her very religious, upbringing, background, what have you, that, it's still wrong for her. So I don't know if she's trying to challenge her ideals and maybe try something new, or if she's really just messing with everybody.
Sorry, remind me, her backstory. Was it, she wasn't always religious, it happened after her, was it a...
She was having
Did she have an abortion?
She had an abortion.
And then went back in with the gun, correct?
And killed the abortion.
Did she kill him or just wound?
Well, she shot him. She shot
that's
him
all we
anyway.
knew.
And then became sort of the pro-life...
right.
But that was still only as means to get counsel, wasn't it? Or a better... I can't remember.
Drugs?
Who came...
I think it was
who
a
approached
money grab
her?
for her.
Yeah, she was approached to take on that persona,
Her backstory was in season 1. So who anyone watched that recently?
Not recently.
Oh,
Yeah.
I can't remember.
I can't remember either.
But somebody came up, some sleazy guy, I feel like he was a politician, was trying to use her as...
Sure.
So, she wasn't raised... It's not like inbred in her? Is that the right word?
Ingrained.
Yeah. She might
That's
be.
another thing.
Yeah, so I don't know.
But it's a more recent development for her. But it's a very strong development. It seemed to guide everything that she was doing.
That's kind of why I think she probably more than wounded that person. Like, this is all a counterbalance to what she did. That's why she played it up even more.
It's
and
a
believed
quest for redemption, maybe, for her. That could be. What about Porn Stash?
I don't
No.
need him to come back.
I do kind of feel bad for him, though.
Well,
Wow.
he
With
did
the
murder.
Whoa.
I don't think I do.
Wait, what? He murdered someone?
Well, I feel like he might as well have murdered. I forget her name, but he ended up like she was selling the drugs for him, and she was taking
right.
them all.
I forgot about that.
When he like posed her to be like as if she hung herself, I basically was like, no, he's a murderer, and I'm done with him.
No, but for getting framed for... I mean, he did have sex with
Daya.
Daya.
Yeah, he got framed for doing something he did, but not the time he did it. Basically,
He didn't
Right.
get... it's complicated.
I actually felt him coming back was a little contrived just because
Yes.
it came at a time when Fig and Caputo were kind of at each other's throats. And they're sort of never-ending tete-a-tete, and then all of a sudden, I'm going to bring back a guard who brought some order to this place. Well, yeah, because he was violent and misogynistic. And then...
and a drug dealer.
And a drug dealer, right.
I take back what I said about doing that for him.
See, I knew I could convince you.
Does
Just
anyone
saying.
think Bennett should have come clean?
He did.
But should he have?
I don't-
I feel like they gave him a lot of crap, and I would have been.
I feel
why do you want him to go to
that crap
prison?
came out of nowhere because this was the plan. We were going to frame Porn Stash so that way you can take care of the kid. It won't go into foster care or what have you. And then all of a sudden she turns around and she's like, "Well, at least he admitted it."
And then if you don't...
I don't get
If
it.
you don't pass up, you're gone.
My other problem with
right.
that storyline is just wear a condom.
I know, right?
That just I hate it.
I actually struggle with the Bennett-Daya relationship a little bit because on the one hand I can see, yeah, okay, maybe they are genuinely in love and it's very sweet. And at the same time, which is really the point of the story, there's just no realism to it. I mean, this guard impregnates this prisoner.
And I think they are like, because they're in prison, so it's easier for Daya and like her mom to say, just do your time and get it over with. But I'm pretty sure he would be a sex offender, and like it's
He is.
Yeah.
That's what they say, that he would lose his job and be put on the sex registry.
so I just
It's
I
more
don't know.
damaging for him in the long run.
He could do more for his child if he doesn't come clean.
Yeah.
It would be better for the baby, I think.
Well, and then Caputo helps him in the end by framing Porn Stash. So, but will it? Do you think it will come back to haunt him? Do you want it to come back to haunt him?
I don't need it to.
I don't need it to either.
That's the weird thing about this show. There's so many good characters and good stories. If a storyline isn't going exactly like you want it, it's easy to be like, I don't need that one because they have.
There's so many other good ones that are out
Yeah.
there.
So we had already also mentioned, I think, Kristen, you had said that you are not a fan of Piper. Is that correct?
I
Or was
said
that
it.
Chris?
I don't need
Nick's-
it.
Yeah.
Oh, well, let's ask everybody, because she is actually an extremely divisive character among viewers and fans, sort of the internet chatter. There are people that love to hate her. There are people that hate to love her. She's kind of one of the least popular characters overall if you were to take a survey or a poll. How do you feel about her character in this season compared to last season? Because in the first season, she kind of annoyed people a lot. Do you think she redeemed herself in any way? Did she need redeeming this season? I mean, what do you think?
I don't think she needed redeeming, but
No.
I don't.
I think she had a fairly honest reaction to, being in prison and how that would become a very self-centered thing because you don't know anyone, you don't know what's going on. So at least in the beginning, that made sense to me.
And how your friends or family on the outside probably can't even relate a little. That's what every time she really annoyed me, I had to just keep reminding myself, I don't know what it's like to be in prison in this situation for this period. But there were just things she did that annoyed me, and when I realized, it hasn't been that long yet, and you have an end date, and it's not, it is not awesome, it's horrible, but it's not like you have a life sentence. I don't know.
And also consider her parents. Look at the parents that she's being depicted as having. I don't know if it was written that way in the book, but at least the on-screen portrayal of Piper for me, becomes a little more sympathetic when you look at least her mother, for example, who's so repressed and so sort of stereotypically tight-assed. How's that? I mean, I don't know. What do you think, Kristen?
I don't know. On the love-hate spectrum, I'm probably somewhere in the middle. There's times when I can't stand her, and then there's times where she does something nicer to people, or she does something that kind of redeems her a little bit. But I don't know.
What about her relationship with Alex? I mean, you can't deny those two actresses have chemistry.
They do have chemistry, and I enjoy their chemistry. I think they have a really good on-screen relationship with each other. Well, it's tumultuous, there's good, there's bad. And season 3 is going to blow up all over again with Piper ratting her out and getting her back in prison for saying she was going to skip town and she had a gun, and we'll see what happens there.
I like Piper better now than I did in the beginning. I feel that she's in some way, just doing her time and doing her thing and not trying to cause trouble. I feel like in season 1 she really let her own agenda, if you will, really drive a lot of the things that she was doing, and she's less annoying now.
I think she's less annoying because she's not as central. Like, they brought just the dynamics of the prisoners and how they interact, and just the whole politics of being a prisoner and the different groups with V coming in and butting heads. So I think that's one of reason she isn't as annoying to me, and the more she is just one of the prisoners and not the person who we're following, and we're only meeting these prisoners because she's there, the more I would like her.
So arguably, though, like Kristen says, bringing Alex back may push her back into the forefront. Will that make her more annoying again, or is it just more...
I'm gonna trust them, but the writers, but my first instinct is just... It's going to be the same story as season 1, but flipped. Like, Piper hating Alex. Now I just feel like Alex is just going to hate Piper and not want to talk to her. And we've
done it.
Right. So I don't... I'm sure they'll bring more to it than that. But that's the obvious way to go, so I hope that's not what they do with it.
Well, remember, too, there's also that dynamic of Alex saying at the beginning of Season 2 that she was going to say one thing on the stand, and then totally flipping over and saying a different thing and kind of screwing Piper in the process. Does that make her any more sympathetic?
Now, I hated Piper that she didn't follow her lawyer / future father-in-law's advice and do the thing that was best for her. I thought that was a dumb, stupid move, and she deserved to go back to prison.
Yeah, I really did not like her in that episode.
I think that's my least favorite episode. There was just too much in this other prison and meeting new characters and following Piper. And I think the next episode, was she not even really in it?
She wasn't. It was totally back at the prison.
It was so much better.
Was that your favorite episode?
Probably not, but it was...
That's the one where we met V, wasn't it?
Yeah. Well, at the very, very end.
Because
Tasty was the backstory. Oh, we did meet her in the flashbacks. She was trying to... From when she was a child, trying to get adopted, and... What do we think about Tasty's backstory? That was kind of central this season.
She was almost like replaced Alex as a more prominent character.
She had it rough.
Yeah.
Very rough. She did have it rough, Krista.
No, I know, I mean, but she's so chipper. I don't know, she's so happy and, always just smiling, and you think that she would be in a darker place, considering her life, but maybe she's making lemonade out of lemons, I'm not sure.
Well, she may also choose her friends well. I mean, I think she's got a lot of support among the girls that she hangs with.
Sorry, it just popped in my head, a character we haven't mentioned that I don't think we don't even see the flashback, but Yoga Jones, I love her story.
Yeah.
And you didn't even need to see it, just her telling it was
more than enough. And I think her telling it was more powerful than seeing it as a flashback.
Let's talk about that. Is there any prisoner that you feel needs a flashback at this point that hasn't been given one?
Because Nikki hasn't had one yet, has she?
Yes.
Did she?
I think she did.
Yeah, when she about her ODing.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then that brings up the whole heroin business.
Oh, yes.
Was that a...
Okay.
Nikki found V's stash of heroin.
But we don't know what she did with it yet?
I think the last shot of it was her kind of looking at it longingly through the register.
And Boo's trying to get her to come back from it.
Right.
And they were going to tell Caputo, but then, lockdown and Rosa and the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
So it's still theoretically there.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And it looked like a lot of it. I mean, I'm not quite sure what a lot of heroin looks like, but it seemed like there
Seemed
was
like a lot.
There was a substantial amount.
There was enough to sell it.
Yeah.
So, and somehow they got it in. So,
I can't think of any character.
Yeah.
I mean, I could think of a character that we don't really know their backstory, but from the first episode, the one with the sleep apnea mask, the holding cell that Piper goes into first. With it's her, Rosa, and
Yep. I know who you're looking at.
Something like that.
she's in both seasons.
Mm-hmm.
Mid-40s from New Jersey.
Mm-hmm. She's never had any central
oh,
storyline.
I know who you're talking about.
Like her main thing is that she has this loud
Sleep apnea mask.
yeah, and she can't get out into her own room because of it.
Yeah, she's always in Gen Pop.
Same thing
Yeah.
with Rosa.
Mm-hmm.
They were both there. Yeah, that's the only character I could think of where we don't really
She
might have offhandedly said something like, I don't know, stealing or something generic, but I don't think we have any kind of backstory for her.
Some of the older ladies might be interesting, but I would like to know more about some of the characters we already know, too.
Like what? What would you like to know?
I want more about Crazy Eyes.
Okay.
Who
Yeah.
doesn't?
Just in
Yeah, I think
general,
there is a big
'cause
kind
her
of
family's so
gap
interesting.
from what they've shown us to where she is now.
Well, they covered a lot of, it was at different points, but it started out when she was a kid, and then kind of got up to her high school graduation. But her backstory is kind of particularly interesting. Like, did we know before that she was adopted by white parents?
Yes, because at the very least, we've seen her family with her visiting.
Okay.
So we sort of had an inkling, but we didn't know for sure. Because her mom visits her a lot.
I don't remember that.
I don't remember it all either.
Like, I only see...
I don't remember it either.
Maybe it's just in the book.
No, it's in the background.
Oh,
It totally
I did not notice it.
Totally.
Is it interesting that her mother and Piper have the same coloring? Remember how she was obsessed with
Dandelion.
Piper? Dandelion.
Well, even her little sister that
Yes.
came along after she was adopted has very similar coloring to Piper. I don't think that's a coincidence.
I don't think so either. I think we'll be getting more Crazy Eyes for sure. I mean, if nothing else, there might be some lasting impact from her interactions with V and all the stuff that she had her do as part of this grand sort of mafia kind of setup in the prison that I think is going to, because we know that Crazy Eyes carries her traumas with her. So I'm sure that's going to come back and rear its head. Is there anything else, though, what do we want to see in season 3 particularly? I mean, aside from, we've already kind of covered Piper and Alex, and we know that that's going to be an issue, but is there anything else we'd like to see in season 3?
Some new characters might be fun.
Some new prisoners?
Mm-hmm. And what happens with the whole Caputo being warden and all that.
Sure.
Yeah.
Because having 2 prisoners escape on the same day is probably not going to work out well for him.
Oh, that's true.
And the whole thing with O'Neill and the nuns, I just am curious how that went. When he was playing the ukulele, it was a nice comedic moment that we don't see very often.
I'd like them to delve more into where the money went. I mean, we know that what's-her-name was using it for her own stuff and not...
Figueroa.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd like that story, the actual story in the show to be a big deal and something significant happen at the prison where they start getting more funding or just, something with the consequences of what Figueroa did.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of sad because one of my favorite characters is gone, and we won't really get much more development from her. But
Well, to be fair, she was dying.
Yeah.
I know.
You didn't
But
have much time left.
we don't know how much longer she had
true.
realistically.
I don't think she's getting the best medical care.
Exactly. I understand that. I don't know. I'd like to see more with Sophia, personally.
She was kind of in the background
She was
this
kind of...
season.
Yep. She kind of was in more of the background this season, and I would really like to see her come back at least a little more to the forefront. I love her backstory. I love her whole story, her character in general. She's very positive, too. You know, considering everything that has gone through for her. So I want to see more Sophia.
And just from a societal aspect, I mean, Laverne Cox's presence on the show has really pushed the conversations about transgenderism into the forefront, which I think is incredible. Mm-hmm. It's really awesome.
I can tell you one backstory I don't need to see any more about.
Okay.
Black Cindy.
Black Cindy.
I mean, I thought it was funny, but I didn't think it really moved the story forward at all.
No,
I don't
it didn't.
remember Black Cindy.
She works at an airport. She's a TSA agent.
The one
She
who
steals lots of
her
things.
daughter was being cared for by
yes,
her mother.
okay, yes.
Yep, stealing the iPads and everything to give him as gifts. And you're right, it didn't really move the
It
story
didn't move
forward.
the story forward. I thought it was fun, but and maybe I would like to see more about her, but we don't need to see any more ones like that.
What did we think about So-So? The new protester at the prison.
It was interesting to see somebody of her character.
I blocked her out.
Yeah.
It was the age juxtaposition was nice, but I'm not.
She's very much the, passive resistance, fight to save the trees. I'm going to live in a tree house for 8 months to save my big oak tree from being chopped down. I don't really know how longer she's going to stay. I mean, she doesn't really have what it takes, I think, to make it.
I will say though that those points actually made me like Piper more when she kind of got really cranky with her. Basically said, "Shut up." I mean, those were very enjoyable scenes to me because I thought to myself, see, Piper can't be all annoying. There's clearly a much more annoying character. And look, here she is.
And it's funny because in the book, she's like kind of beloved, at least kind of the scenario which I'm assuming it's based on, is that those characters that were in for that reason, everyone thought they were great. The book is much less harsh. Everyone was much more chill and just putting their nose down, doing their time, so it's a little different.
Well, prison shows are harsh. Mm-hmm. I have to say.
I feel like that Piper's presence in the show prevented people from just keeping their nose down. Like, she messed with status quo to a lesser extent as Sosa, but I think that's what everyone was doing until she got there.
At least it seems that way.
Yeah.
She walks in and says, "All the food's horrible," in Red's face. Mm-hmm. That's how it started. So
that is true.
Yeah.
I'd like to see. I want to know what happens with Red. I also agree. She's one of my favorite characters. Kate Mulgrew is just one of those unparalleled actresses.
She's fantastic in everything that she does.
It's true.
Yes, more Kate Mulgrew.
Yes. She's not just Captain Janeway, folks.
Mm-hmm. She's Mrs. Columbo.
She is. But the character of Red is very fascinating to me because on the one hand, she's clearly this very strong woman with very strong principles, but at the same time, she's nurturing. She's the mother figure inside the prison. And I found it interesting that when they bunked her with Piper, she kind of softened a little bit. That was very... She got a little bit humble, and that almost put her in a very good position to kind of deal with V, who was the antithesis of humility when she walked in. So I kind of hope they deal more with her.
One thing that maybe redeemed Piper a little bit for me because of Red... When Piper got her furlough, and Red's like, "Hey, if you have time, can you please go check on my market? I really want to know how it's doing. I'm afraid my kids have run it into the ground."
Which is
Piper,
what happened.
yeah, and Piper made the point of going to see it, and she didn't have the heart to tell Red it's closed and the property's up for sale. And she came back and said, "Oh, it was delicious and everything was fine." I thought that was her one real redeeming moment, is that she really cares about Red and didn't want to destroy her hopes.
Probably going to be in for extremely long time still.
And it does nothing. The truth does nothing to help her, and there's nothing she could do about it.
Yeah, so it keeps giving Red that little bit of hope that everything is still going well on the outside.
So we've seen her son's visitor, right?
Yeah, her sons visited her in the past. Mm-hmm. Well, they also helped her get the new contraband in
through the pipeline.
tunnel.
Yeah.
So, what did we think about the senior citizens of the prison and them kind of helping her in the greenhouse?
I loved it. I thought it was
did too.
awesome.
It was heartbreaking when they stabbed the wrong... I was like, this is perfect. One of them can just stab V and we'll be done with it.
Mm-hmm.
And
Then it was the
when
wrong
it was
one.
not V, I was...
I was disappointed that they got the wrong woman. But I liked seeing the older generation at the prison a little bit more. Like, even Sister, too. I thought it was nice to see a little bit more of her and, you know, working in the greenhouse and trying to get shit done. You know, it was nice. It was a good change of pace from all the young kids.
Do you think... This is the impression I got. So we have some prisoners that aren't anchoring the show, but we find out more about them. Is it just because they are older, we have different actors, or they didn't trust those actors to, like, carry an episode where we have a young Rosa, we have a young sister. We did have a young sister, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think both of them. I don't know if there's any others where I was like, well, I'm glad we're seeing more of the character, but I kind of want to see the actors do more as well.
But on the other hand, is that realistic? Because I think what they depict is these older prisoners have been in prison for a very, very long time after committing crimes when they were younger. So
that's
why I
true.
think it was necessary to show the younger version in the flashbacks, because that's when they did everything that put them on the road to prison, or this is, you know, robbing the banks is how Rosa got in prison, and she did it when she was younger.
Is it interesting to see flashbacks of the prison with some of them and how they were and how they've changed in prison?
that might be interesting.
We did see one with Red and V.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, when Red first came in, that
Yeah.
one was nice to see how she started off and then what she has become.
But that didn't go far back. That was,
No.
maybe a period of 10 years at most, the way they made it sound.
Right.
Because what was Rosa like in prison before she was really sick? Or...
Right, because we only saw that brief glimpse once she was originally, you know, admitted into prison when her latest lover came in. You know, we didn't see what it was like back for her in the
We
day.
did see Sister a little bit as an older...
Yeah, I feel like there was a flashback with her, and it was the
She's
same
kind of
actress. But
It was
I
all about the
can't.
publicity.
Yeah. Yes.
Yep.
So, a couple more questions. The first is, are you going to keep watching Orange is the New Black?
Yes.
Yes. Yes, I'm gonna see what happens with Alex being back. Gonna try it.
Okay.
I'm very hesitant about Alex returning. I kind of...
Why?
I don't know if she really adds a whole lot to the show.
I agree with you.
So you didn't miss her?
No, not at all.
I didn't even notice.
All right.
No, I was a little glad when she's like, I'm skipping town, I'm going to be gone forever, and then I remembered that, you know, well, that's not how it ends. Because I rewatched it today, so... I would like to think that maybe she would go to a different prison, or will get transferred, or it'll be a short-lived reunion. Because like you said, otherwise it's just going to be more of the same, I think.
Or not.
Or not. But there's that I suppose that's why I'm a little apprehensive.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not excited she's coming back. That doesn't do anything to bring me back to see season 3. But I'm definitely going to watch it. Like I said, I chose watching that show. That show that I had access to 24 hours a day on Netflix, but needed to exchange watching that for sleep.
Right.
Agreed. I did the same thing. I come home after work and just sit and
Which
watch.
is so weird when you think, I could watch this whenever I want. It's not going anywhere.
Right. Yeah.
Does the theme song draw you in? Because for me, it's kind of like almost a Pavlovian response. I hear the theme song and it's like, oh, I have to watch the next episode. I have to.
Yeah, Netflix doesn't help you to not watch the next
Right.
episode.
Only
It
after
keeps
like
going.
5 episodes, it's like, are you still watching? Are you okay? Do you need to take a break?
I feel like it once asked me if I wanted to get up and have a snack. Am I making that up?
I think
No,
you're making it up. The Wii did that.
The weed
They
is...
would tell you to stop playing, go outside.
Okay.
Okay.
But I don't. Netflix has never done that for
One
me.
of my devices yells at me and tells me I need to leave.
Wow. Technology's wonderful, isn't it? Wow.
Yeah.
So, have you ever watched... Is this your first prison show that you watched?
Yes.
Yes.
I feel like I watched an episode of Prison Break once, but other than that, yes.
So why this one and not others?
The hype plus Kate Mulgrew. That is really...
Says the Trekkie.
I got Netflix for Doctor Who, and I was exploring what else was out there and just looking, and I think I was choosing between that and Breaking Bad, and Kate Mulgrew made me pick Breaking Bad, or made me pick Orange is the New Black first. I've also watched Breaking Bad, but...
Sure.
Hype, mostly. And then people were watching it and were saying, oh my gosh, have you seen Orange is the New Black? No. Oh my gosh, you have to start watching it right now.
Yeah.
So I did. I'm apparently big into peer pressure.
There's nothing wrong with that, though. That's why you watch a show.
Yeah.
You
It's
aren't going to
positive
watch
peer
a show
pressure.
because people say it's not good.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't mind watching it because of that.
Yeah, I don't know. I thought it was the interesting premise. I didn't realize that it was a book at first until after they said based on the book by.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the premise kind of got me started, but then it was the writing and the characters that kept me coming back.
I needed to watch the second episode after the first one.
Mm-hmm. There was no choice in the matter.
I think I watched all of them in like a week. Less than
It was a very short amount of time for me.
So, I don't know if you know this, but this is actually the most popular streamed original show out there. Like Amazon, Hulu, and Netflix all have other shows.
Yes.
Other popular shows even. Like Netflix has House of Cards, for example. But Orange is the New Black actually gets the most views. Why do you think that is?
I'm trying to think of other Netflix shows that I've watched to even compare it to. So it makes sense to me because it's my favorite, so I
feel like it has a wider mass appeal than some of the other ones. I mean, I'm not big into, the political shows, so I haven't watched House of Cards. I know I need to because I've heard it's great, but that's not
the hype.
But that's not my kind of show. But Orange is the New Black, while it's not my kind of show, I'm addicted to good writing and good acting. That's what will keep me watching a show, no matter if it's stupid or if it's just beyond fantastic. And this show, the writing and the acting is phenomenal.
Yeah, I tend to agree. Where I have seen other ones like House of Cards, which is wonderful. I think this has more of a mass appeal. There's kind of something for everybody, which might help explain.
Not for my wife. She hated the one scene she saw and is not going to watch it.
Okay.
Yeah, it did take me about 2 episodes to really, get into the groove of it and really find what they were trying to sell.
Does it make a difference that the cast is women? Because I'll tell you from my experience, actually after Orange is the New Black, I watched Oz, which is the acclaimed HBO drama and the first prison drama, really. And that is brutal, it's graphic, it's profane, like every bad word in the English language is used on that show. It's not the same as Orange is the New Black, which is a little bit, it's just not any of those things. And the key difference is that was a men's prison and this is a women's prison. What do you think?
I think this lends to better storytelling, but I'm not a big action movie or fight person, so I feel like that's why somebody might have watched Oz, was for that. But this is more a drama about people, and it almost doesn't need to be in a prison. It happens to be in a prison, but it's just the storytelling. And I mean, if it didn't have good actors, it wouldn't be good either. It needs both.
Yeah, I think that's part of it. It's really good writing and it's a really good cast and it works. And I don't know. I think a lot of people would be more hesitant to watch something that is very graphic, very violent, lots of language.
It's hard to binge watch something like that.
Yeah.
Too.
I mean, this one, it kind of jumps genres very frequently. It can be very dark. It can be a little graphic. It can be funny. There was even singing at one point. So there really is something for everyone. And I don't know, the fact that it's all women with a few male supporting characters, I'd like to say that that's made a big difference for me, that I'm yay feminism and I want more strong women on TV, which I do.
True.
But I don't think for me that was a big factor. I don't know if I necessarily would have watched it if Piper was a male. I don't know what that would be like.
Well, it's hard to say that's why it's more popular, because it being in a women's prison, I think, would make it, in general, more popular for women to watch than a men's prison. But it's not just women watching it if it's the most popular. So I don't know exactly what bearing that has.
And while location maybe doesn't necessarily play a big part, like it could be just as easily set somewhere else. But I think the type of prison that it's set in helps a lot, because it's not set in a very, rough prison. It's set in, like, the Martha Stewart prison is what they modeled it after.
Okay. Minimum security is what the parlance is. Yes.
Yes.
Which is true. Oz was a maximum security.
And this is very minimum security. This is where, again, this is the type of prison Martha Stewart went to and that they based Litchfield off of, with their different programs and classes, and you're able to be, more free in your daily activities.
Was in the first episode of season 2, was that maximum security, or just because it was a big city prison?
That was a higher security.
It was a higher security.
I don't know if it was max.
There's more than 2 levels of security?
Yes. There are more than 2 levels. There are varying levels of prisons with varying levels of overpopulation. But, I don't know that we got enough information about that transitional prison.
Yeah, but for me, if the show was set in that, even just that transitional prison where Piper was in, I don't know if I'd find it nearly as enjoyable.
No, I would have given up, really.
I did not like that episode at all. That was the only time I was like, didn't need to watch the next episode, but you could see that it took place in Litchfield, so I was, this is what I wanted.
Right, but it's an interesting change, too. So when you're watching in Chicago prison, and then you go to the next one, it's amazing how slower paced it is, and how brighter the colors are. And I really liked that contrast. That contrast.
But they could have Piper could have been in that other one for 2 episodes, and we've spend half the time in Litchfield, and half the time would water it down for me and make it more enjoyable. Because, like I said, Piper's my least favorite.
Right.
So for Nick, it's all about minimizing Piper. Well, thanks a lot for listening. This is the conclusion of our Orange is the New Black podcast. If we do this again, it will most likely be after the next season is released. There's no firm release date, but they've been averaging June or July. So keep your eyes on your Netflix subscriptions. Remember, that's the only legal way you can watch the show. And if you want to read about other shows or listen to any of our other podcasts, go to couchpotatoesunite.wordpress.com, where we discuss TV because we love it. As for right now, this is Kylie, Kristen, and Nick signing off. Thanks for listening. Bye.